Hit like now so you won't miss episode 39, where Tu Tien and Jack take on life's challenges, from long hours at the farm to bold steps in their careers, follow their heartwarming journey to spread faith and hope. After a cozy dinner with Jack's mother, Jack and Tu Tien headed back home. It was late, and the chilly night air contrasted with the warmth still lingering in their hearts. As soon as they reached the yard, Tu Tien spotted a neatly placed gift bag on the wooden table. She bent down for a closer look and noticed a small handwritten card. From Tu Tien. Tu Tien picked up the gift bag, looking a bit flustered. He probably came by earlier but missed me, so he left it here. She turned to Jack, hesitating. I think I should return it. I already accepted the bicycle from Toan. Getting another gift would be awkward. Jack watched her for a moment, then smiled gently. Keep it. If he's truly grateful, there's no need to overthink. You haven't done anything wrong. Tu Tien stayed quiet for a bit, then nodded softly, placing the gift bag back on the table. She sat down next to Jack. A soft night breeze rustled the row of areca palms, and the glow of the oil lamp cast a warm golden light on their faces. They talked for a long while, about work, life, and the future. At one point, Jack spoke slowly. I'm thinking about going to your hometown next year to find your remaining relatives and ask for permission to hold our wedding. Hearing that, Tu Tien couldn't hide her emotions. Tears welled up as she leaned her head on Jack's shoulder, her hand trembling as it clutched his sleeve. I love you, she whispered, so softly it nearly blended with the wind. But I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm not good enough for you. I'm afraid my past will burden you. Jack turned to look deeply into her eyes. He took her hand firmly and said in a steady voice, I love you because you are you, brave, kind, and genuine. You don't wear me out. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. In that moment, their hearts met in a gentle, stirring bond. But then Jack glanced at his watch and sighed. I have to go. I have an early meeting tomorrow. Both stood up. Before leaving, Jack pulled Tu Tien into a long embrace. I'll be back soon, he promised. Tu Tien walked with Jack all the way to the gate until his figure disappeared into the night. She returned to the table and sat down, absent-mindedly running her fingers over the gift bag. Her emotions were in turmoil. She was happy to feel so loved, yet worried she might become a burden to Jack. This joy felt too sudden, like a dream she hardly dared to believe. Early the next morning, before dawn fully broke, Tu Tien was already up. She put on her usual yellow shirt and started her daily chores. Sitting in front of the yard, she placed a big tray down and diligently removed kernels from corn cobs. The golden kernels fell with a soft rustling sound under her quick hands, though her gaze drifted into the distance. She still replayed last night's images in her mind. She smiled to herself, as though stepping out of a sweet dream. Unable to resist her growing longing, she took out her phone, hesitated for a moment, and then sent Jack a single heart emoji. That was the only way she knew how to convey her feelings. No flowery words, just a symbol that said it all. Finishing her task, she gathered the corn to feed the pigeons. Seeing that most of their feed was gone, she nodded, as if reminding herself, I need to buy more corn in the fields today. It's harvest season, so the price should still be good. She put on a light jacket, tied her hair back, and set off into the new day. Though her thoughts remained tangled, her feet moved forward, well practiced. And in her heart, the image of Jack seemed to walk beside her with every step she took. At sunrise, with the gentle morning rays breaking through, Tu Tien wore her familiar yellow shirt and strapped an empty basket to her back. She stepped out of her gate, following the narrow dirt path that led up to the cornfields on a distant hillside. The air was cool and fresh, and a light breeze played with her hair in the morning sun. Amid the cornfield, now dried to a yellowish hue, Tu Tien stood out in her simple attire and earnest demeanor. She quietly picked each ear of corn, her movements quick but careful. The crackling of dry corn husks under her hands sounded like nature whispering in time with her breaths. Each time she bent down, she gently snapped off the corn and placed it into the basket that grew heavier on her back. Sweat dotted her forehead, but a kind smile lingered on her lips. Surrounded by the vast golden field, she seemed to blend in with the earth, humble and quietly beautiful. When her basket was full, Tu Tien made her way to the field owner's house, nodded in greeting, and paid for the corn. Then she headed home, emptied the basket in the yard, and squatted down to peel away the tough husks. She gathered the husks for fuel and hung the kernels near the stove to dry. Afterwards, she went to wash her hands in the small kitchen annex, then prepared lunch. The modest kitchen was cozy, warmed by a wood-burning stove that filled the space with a comforting glow. Tu Tien sliced a few pieces of bitter melon, cracked 2 eggs and stirred them quickly in a hot pan. She also put on a simple vegetable soup next to it. The aroma of stir-fried bitter melon mingled with the scent of burning wood, creating a homely atmosphere. She sat down, scooped up a bowl of rice and ate quietly. Though it was a plain meal, her heart felt peaceful. She sensed every moment passing by, every drop of happiness quietly flowing, just enough, just real, and infinitely precious. While Tu Tien was busy preparing a simple lunch of vegetable soup and a basic stir-fry, Toan suddenly showed up at her doorstep. He carried a gift bag, smiling as she came out of the kitchen, surprised. "I came to thank you for the times you've helped me," Toan said, placing the bag on the small bamboo table. Tu Tien glanced at the bag, then at Toan, speaking softly. "You already gave me a bike. I feel so shy about all this." Seeing her discomfort, Toan nodded gently without pressing the matter. After a moment of hesitation, she invited him to stay for lunch. "It's just a humble meal, but if you don't mind." Toan accepted happily. The two of them sat at the small bamboo table on the porch, steam rising from the hot soup, filling the air with the cozy smell of home-cooked food. Meanwhile, in a luxurious mansion, Jiang sat sadly on a balcony, looking disappointed. She confided in her mother, Mrs. Thu, about how Jack was still distant, never returning her affections. Jiang's voice trembled. "Mum, he really cares about that other girl. I feel so useless." Mrs. Thu comforted her daughter, then made a call to Mr. Tien. "I found her place," Duke said curtly. Mrs. Thu ended the call, her eyes pensive. She decided to visit in person to learn more about her daughter's rival. Not long after, Mrs. Thu arrived at Tu Tien's home. The moment she walked through the gate, she stopped short, recognizing the young woman sitting down to eat with Toan as the same girl who had once helped her when she passed out in the street after a robbery. Overcome with surprise and gratitude, she smiled and greeted them both. "What a coincidence. This young lady helped me during a difficult time. So you live here?" she asked, then sat down to chat with Tu Tien in a warm, friendly manner. Tu Tien remained modest, polite, and sincere. Their conversation flowed easily, without barriers. After a while, Mrs. Chu gently pulled Tu Tien aside and took out a wad of cash from her purse. "I'd like to give you a little something to thank you for helping me before." But Tu Tien shook her head, smiling sweetly. "Please, don't worry about it. I wouldn't know what to buy with the money. I'm comfortable with how I live now." Hearing this, Mrs. Thu fell silent, her gaze tinged with sadness. On one hand was the kind girl she genuinely liked, her benefactor. On the other was Jiang, her own daughter, heartbroken over unrequited love. She felt more torn than ever. Mrs. Thu said her goodbyes to Tu Tien and left quietly. Tu Tien returned to the table to finish her meal with Toan. The mood felt subdued, but Toan did his best to keep things upbeat. "Your cooking is really delicious, perfectly seasoned," he remarked. Just then, Toan's phone rang. It was a call from Huang at the office. Apologizing, he quickly stood up. "I have an urgent matter, let's catch up another time." Toan walked him to the gate and then slowly made her way back inside, her thoughts still swirling with a mix of joy, confusion, and worry about unforeseen events yet to unfold. Early in the morning, soft sunlight filtered through the leafy canopy, and Tu Tien sat studying in her usual spot by the porch. She carefully read each line, jotting notes in the margins, murmuring to herself as she went over the lessons. Mid-study, her eyes drifted to the white bicycle Toan had given her. Suddenly, a spark of determination flickered. Why not try again? She stood up, wheeled the bike into the yard and cautiously climbed on, gripping the handlebars tightly. She still wobbled with inexperience, but today she felt braver, more resolute, mirroring her growing ability to take control of her own life. Meanwhile, at the company, Jack and Jian were reviewing documents for a project proposed by Deputy Director Thiet. "There's still no official zoning map?" Jack asked with a frown. Jian replied, "They said they've already applied for it, We're supposed to do a site survey this afternoon." That afternoon, at the project site, Jack and Jiang found nothing but an empty, dusty field, no sign of clearing or construction as promised. Immediately, Jack phoned his friend Hung, who worked in land administration. After a brief conversation, Hung confirmed, "That's farmland, not part of any urban development plan. If you have a permit, it might be fake." Jack's face went pale. He tried contacting their project partners, but no one picked up. Wind gusts whistled across the open field as Jack stood there, sensing a conspiracy coming into focus. Back at the company, Jack reported his findings to the board of directors. A tense emergency meeting was called. The CEO sat at the head of the table, speaking gravely. "Project Songlo has major issues. No official permits, farmland not converted, invalid paperwork." Jack stood and explained, "I overlooked verifying everything with local authorities. I suspect a staged plan meant to exploit the company's reputation." Deputy Director Tieu, who had introduced the project, crossed his arms. "I only facilitated bringing it to our attention. The final green light was Jack's decision." The room crackled with tension. The CEO nodded. "For now, we're suspending Jack until the matter is fully investigated. Deputy Director Thiet will be acting in his place." Despite the suspension, Jack refused to surrender. He left the meeting room, eyes filled with resolve. The CEO offered him a glimmer of hope. "If you can find evidence proving the truth, I'll restore your position and your reputation." Back in his office, Jack sat quietly, his mind in turmoil. He knew he was stepping into a difficult battle, not just to clear his own name, but also to protect those who believed in him, especially Tu Tien. Jack stood in his familiar workspace, the glow of the office lights reflecting off his glasses. On his desk, personal items, photos, pens, notebooks were neatly organized, just as he had always managed his work. Each object carried a piece of the journey he had built with his whole heart. Now he had to leave because of a scheme whose perpetrator remained hidden, and it pained him deeply, but did not break him. After sealing the last box, he paused before the company logo one more time. His gaze, determined, replaced any sign of regret. Jack left the building, got into his car and headed straight up a mountain pass. Stopping amidst the majestic scenery, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number with firm resolve. On the other end, his trusted friend Tung answered. "I need you to investigate this thoroughly," Jack said in a low, resolute tone. "I want to know exactly who is behind it all. I won't let anyone tarnish my honor." Meanwhile, in a small market, Tu Tien was selling pickled eggplant. She wore a simple pink shirt, her usual warm smile lighting up her face. 20,000 dong a kilo, really fresh and crunchy, she called out cheerfully. Her down-to-earth nature and honesty drew many customers. Once she sold out, she gathered her belongings, wiped her hands with an old cloth, and hurried home, pleased to have saved a bit more money to repay Jack. Jack arrived at the farm gate just as Tu Tien returned. Before stepping out of his car, he quickly straightened his shirt, wanting to appear calm and collected, strong enough for her. But as soon as he saw her from afar, he was overwhelmed by a surge of emotion. Unable to hold back, Jack hurried over and wrapped his arms around Tu Tien like a child seeking comfort after a storm. She froze for a moment, then gently returned his embrace, resting her head on his shoulder. No explanation was necessary. Tu Tien could feel that he needed support, and she was willing to be exactly that. They stood there for a long time in each other's arms, surrounded by the lush greenery where they had sown many seeds together. Not just crops, but love, trust, and the hope of a peaceful life after so many storms.
Không ngần ngại buông những lời cay nghiệt như thế, chỉ chờ cơ hội này để trút hết khinh thường lên đầu cô. Cái nhà này cần có cháu đích tôn, chứ không phải cần một người đàn bà vô dụng. Từng lời nói chữ dắt dao cứ sâu vào trái tim tự Tiên. Đôi mắt cô đỏ hoe, bàn tay nắm chặt bảo và áo cũ. Cô kìm nén để không bật khóc trước mặt những kẻ chẳng chút thương xót cô. Chiến, người từng đỏ tay gối với cô, người từng hứa hẹn bao điều, giờ đây lại lạnh lùng đứng nhìn không một chút do dự. Cô đã không còn gì trong ánh mắt anh ta. Nỗi đau không còn dừng lại ở những lời miệt thị khi mẹ chồng lớn tiếng đuổi cô ra khỏi nhà. Tự Tiên gần như quỵ xuống. Cô không biết mình đã làm gì sai ngoài việc sinh ra một trong một số phận bất hạnh. Ngày cô về nhà chồng, cô cũng từng e thẹn bước qua bậc cửa này mang theo bao ước mơ về một mái ấm. Nhưng hôm nay cũng chính